a new thing, and I guess we are. But yeah, it's so funny. Like you would think of all the places that it's like it's okay to be playing music is like a radio station that actually goes out of its way to make sure
Exactly.
we're paying the licensings. But it's like every week Facebook like flags one of our videos, and then we argue it, and then they like put it back up, and then it's just like it's almost like flirting at this point where it's just like, oh, okay, here it is. Okay, yep, they're gonna flag our video. Okay, all right, hi Facebook.
That's
And
right.
but yeah, so now I'm just gonna try to turn it down because
That's
the people
fine.
listening can hear it anyway. But
Yeah, that's the jam you
also,
got on out there.
yeah, but no, I am well. I am just. It's one of those like crazy weeks where I have to go to LA at the end of it and then immediately fly back to teach classes. So it's just going to be like I am kind of I am back on caffeine, but like black tea. That's
Yeah,
that's
same,
where
same.
I'm at.
Cheers,
That's where I'm
cheers.
at. How are you? Thank you for being on the show today.
I am well. If I can keep my earbuds in, they got these new earbuds, and I don't like the new style of them. They're just
I can never keep them in, so
the
I
first
just
ones I could. Like I have the old pair that fit like almost like the Sony buds, and
oh
those
yeah
are perfect. But these
yeah.
ones are the little plastic joints that you put it in. It's just like
I've
so
never been able to figure them out. They
yeah.
always fall out of mine, and
Yep.
I don't know. I
So I'm saying that to say bear with me because I'll be doing this a lot.
Well, if it
It's
happens, it
okay.
happens. Like it wouldn't be the first time something has like either fallen or broken like on the air, like live. It's KFAI. It'll be fine.
Good. And let's knock on wood. Don't nothing fall or break. We good.
Yes, yes,
But I am good though. I've been busy.
yes. You
And
have.
yeah, I launched a residency through the American Composer Forum. And
Whoa.
yeah, it's really awesome. So through this residency, it's called Liberate, Uplifting Our Youth. And so I'm focused on uh, providing a platform and using the opportunities that I'm receiving to pay it forward to the youth in the way that other adult artists and people in the community did for me. And so I
Right.
have basically teamed up with Purple Playground, True Art Speaks, and Walker West, along with ACF, SPCO, and the Schubert Club. And I'm doing a couple of commissions. One that's coming for next week, Sovereign Suite with the Schubert, and then in 2 weeks from that, I'll be doing the Sands of Time commission at the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, and then I'll go work with Purple Playground, and I'll go in and make some music with them, spend some time with them. I'll go with True Art Speaks and spend some time with the young people there, doing poetry, spoken word, music, and things of that nature. And then we'll culminate it at the ACF Summit sometime in September and be able to,
Okay.
show what we've done and have a place for the youth to speak and to be interviewed and to, talk and speak how they feel about being in Minnesota and over the last 2 years and all the things that they've been going through and the trajectory to freedom and liberation and what they see for the future.
Right. When are they going to start this? Like, if it's going to wrap up in September, like, are they going to be because like July or June or
Yeah, absolutely. So the residency started in the beginning of the year, and I'm already
wow.
working with Walker West because Walker West Music Academy has a Kamoinge string ensemble that will be playing with us for the Schubert suite. So the kids will be playing with us. Yeah, because that's my alma mater. I was trained there as a kid as well.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I wanted to be able to extend that, and just do things that I've always wanted to do. And it's beautiful. I mean, they are wonderful. So they're involved,
Yeah.
and I've been able to sit down with them and meet with them and talk with them and stuff. And then they'll be doing the rehearsing with us and doing the show and all that. Then
Wow.
after Sands of Time is done, I'll be working with Purple Playground like immediately after.
Wow.
And I'll go in, for a week and go work with them. And then sometime in, well, in July, I will be I did a documentary for the album I wrote, Sovereign, last year.
Yeah.
So I did a documentary of how that all came to be. We just took footage of everything. And so I'll be
Yeah.
releasing that in August, and then going in and working with True Art Speaks. And in September will be the summit. And then there's so much more after that because they've commissioned me. There's a third commission, which will culminate everything that I've done, all of my experiences, because I
Yeah.
really would like to speak to how this grows me as an artist, what I learned from, working with all these people and being able to create either a piece of music and or a writing an essay about my whole experience, and also
Yeah.
being able to um, learn how to uh, show what it is that I do in not so much of an academic way, but I do so much holistic work with my music. I want to
Yeah.
be able to find ways to share these learnings and spread these learnings and be able to teach in this way and make it normalized. So I'm working towards that. It's a bigger picture throughout this residency because this really affects how I teach art to the youth for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so you have, I mean, like pretty much like every moment of 2022, like
And
blocked
three.
off already.
At
Yeah.
least, and half of three, at least. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's great.
inspiring, really. It's like it's so like okay, that's good to know because I definitely want to recap some of those performances because once we are on, not that we're not on air now, but like there is going to be a moment where we're like going to be on the internet and on the radio. So like anything you want to plug as far as like date wise and reiterate, please let me know because one, we don't have much time. But two, we do have some time. I know you got to be done, like noon is your hard cutoff. So anytime we have talk breaks, I want to bring this stuff up. So we have one more song, and then we're going to actually have one of those talk breaks now. So like I do want to definitely bring up your partnership with the Schubert Club, the performance in May. But I also would love to bring up a lot of these, well, like I'm a talker anyway, so let's see how much. But I do want to plug all this stuff because like I had some of this stuff on my one sheet, and I was just like, okay, good. I would love to give some light on Purple Playground as well, and as well the third commission. In the meantime, though, so did you grow up in Rondo?
Hmm. Yep.
So
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
lived in Minnesota your entire life?
Hmm.
So your music has just like taken you everywhere.
Yes.
Okay, so you
Yeah. Yeah,
I
because I was a child performer, and so I
really,
think, yeah, it's been. I talked to my brother yesterday. I said it's been 33 years that I've been performing.
wow.
33 years from my first concert this year.
So what was your first discipline as a child performer?
Singing.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I started in choir. And my mom was a musician, and my dad
Yeah.
was just an overall lover of music. And music was around the house. We had some folks that were connected to Penumbra Theater that were,
Okay.
our family members and stuff that were like, founding company members and stuff. So
Yeah.
we seen that, we had aunts, all kinds of people. My uncle was a saxophone player. He played for Hayes
Oh.
with Sunny Knight.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yes,
Nice.
absolutely. Came full circle because then I ended up being one of his background singers. And it was amazing. Like we didn't even know who each other were, and I was like, "My uncle is Gordon Mott," and he was like, "Your mom's Zula." Oh my God, And then we ended up finding out, him and my brother are related, and like it's just,
Perfect.
But that's Rondo. That's
Stand by.
yeah.
Okay, so we heard the Isley Brothers. We also had Parliament. In the top of that set, we had Prince. So we are live with PaviElle right now. If you're tuned in to the Facebook or YouTube, whatever you like, whatever you prefer, and we're just talking off mic. You can just kind of hear what we're talking about in the background, and I, I'm getting to know what PaviElle's 2022 and 2023 are like. But if you are unaware, my next guest is an Emmy Award winner. Not only has she been a McKnight Fellow, but also a Jerome Hill Artist Fellow. She's received a Sage Cowles Award, and now upcoming at the end of the May 22nd. Yeah, you have a partnership with the Schubert Club at the Fitzgerald Theater. So you're going to be. So is this the debut of Sovereign Suite?
Yeah, world premiere, as they call it.
So exciting. So like, it's like the Fitzgerald Theater is one of like the most. They really don't make theaters like they used to. Like that's one of the most gorgeous places like on the planet. So like what an amazing place to have this debut of this work. So can we talk about we off mic we were talking about just the logistics of just like okay you have this May 22nd and then with SPCO you have a collaboration in June and then like pretty much right after that you are booked, you have so much going on. So how did this partnership come to be for this performance on May 22nd with the Schubert Club?
Well, this partnership is a part of ongoing residency that I launched this year, and so that's kind of it's just one of the pieces of the many pieces of the actual residency. So this is going to be the first show that we do in the series in the residency length of time. So yeah, this is they came to me and asked me to just create a piece of music. And this is the first piece that I've been asked to create that doesn't have a theme or doesn't have something, that I'm specifically writing about. It was just what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of, this thing is cosmic. Like, they asked me about program notes and I was just like, this is a cosmic, otherworldly, piece that flowed through me over the course of 9 months time.
Yeah.
It's my baby. Yeah. And it really is mind blowing. And I learn from this piece every time I listen to it. And it's the first piece that's ever done that where I've gone to a different place and brought it back and wrote it so fast. Because, like writing the music took 9 months, but writing the lyrics took a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Right.
It was very fast. It was just right. I mean, and it was so much, and it's an hour long. You know what I mean? It's 30 pages of lyrics. It's an hour and 2 minutes, and it just came out, and I'm like listening back, going, "Oh my God, these are directions." It's almost like I seen my future and seeing the things that I wanted to see for me and how I'm going to be able to do that. It's like the what, why, and how of my future. And I was able to touch on so many introspective things and so many political things and all these things that are happening with us that it's easy for other people to find something in it that resonates with them because, it's about humanity, but even though it's about my life and it's expounding on the album Sovereign and the things that I met in there, it's still very relatable and very it's like a debrief of everything that we've been through.
And this isn't your first time dipping your toes in the water into like symphonic composition and like serious major overarching works. I guess my question as someone who writes songs themselves, I'm just kind of curious of just like, how does one start writing a symphony? Because I feel like when you're writing an album, sometimes you can deliberately start out going like, no, it's this theme. These things need to be said, and you can work through that and complete the work that way. But sometimes you're just sitting on songs and then you're frustrated and you're going, oh, you know what? If I take this out and if this thing gets a bridge, oh, and if I switch these around, this is actually an album. Like I'm just having a hard time as a songwriter going, I can't imagine writing a symphony as just like a collection of riffs and going, oh, if I put them this way, now I have a symphony. Like how do you, I can't imagine writing one, let alone this is not your first rodeo, let alone multiple.
This is 3. This is number 3.
This is just inspiring and mind-blowing. And like, and you said like this is your baby. Like this is quite a journey. Like, so where does a journey like this start? Like, because is this affiliated with the album you did, Sovereign, or is this kind of like inspired by, or is this its own thing altogether?
So to answer your first question, it's it's more like I approach the symphonies like a freestyle. You know, it's like the hip hop
Oh,
roots
okay.
of
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
or the jazz roots of myself and the improvisational stuff that I do.
Hmm.
So usually I lay a piano track and for I just kind of build. So it's like, for instance, I'll riff for 20 minutes and find something and then continue that for the next couple of weeks
Yes.
until I make however long the stuff is or whatever, wherever I want to stop at. And in this case, I did them in 30-minute sections. So I did one 30-minute section and just started going to town on that, working on that, figuring that out, and then just layering and adding all the instruments as I go. And sometimes I can get sucked in and seriously sit there for 9, 12, 15 hours. I've sat in this spot working, from like 6 o'clock after work on a Friday night to six
Oh,
o'clock
I
Saturday
bet.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Cause you just, woof, you just,
It's got to be all encompassing. Like it's like
yeah, it's a
you're world
world.
building. Yeah,
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 yeah. It's
yes.
a world. And so, yeah, I did them in 30-minute sections like that and ended up putting them, the first one that I did, I ended up putting it last and doing the
Okay.
last one that I did, putting it first. And once I got everything done, that's how I figured out what comes next. But the way that I wrote it is the way that I wrote it. And
Yes.
there's really no change in that. I usually just go with whatever the freestyle says to do, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and just build. And that's how they come, and then the words start forming through, it's like the melodies tell me. So whatever
Yeah.
whatever solo I did on the trumpet or the keys or whatever's playing at that point, or even the bass line, that will inform how I sing the bridge, the
Of
vocals,
course. Of
whatever
course.
it is, as opposed to me just thinking, unless it's something where I'm like, I'm automatically hearing this and I wrote this because I was
Yeah.
hearing something in my head.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen much for me. It's always however I'm feeling, it's the inspiration. And when I sit down, I come up and it's like, oh, there's songs. Okay, what do I do with this? And that's how that works. And then, like, as far as it being a part of Sovereign, it's like me expounding on the ideas that formed Sovereign. So like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
thoughts and things that I touched on, because I did a really good job on Sovereign to be uh upfront and transparent, but in a vague enough way where I didn't get too deep. Like it was deep enough, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
But I knew that in my mind that I wanted to do something with Sovereign anyway, with either orchestrating it or taking it to a different level. And so I was
Yeah.
like, the album's fine. I can do something. And then boom, I get this opportunity to write this piece. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then I'll expound on it then. And we'll just write a whole new thing. So it's all new music, It's like
Perfect.
it's all new
Perfect.
music. Yeah.
Well, we will hear a cut from Sovereign a little bit later. And speaking of local music, I have three songs of local music coming up, releases coming out this weekend. But speaking, well, this weekend, this month, and already, but speaking of stuff that already happened and happening this month, I just want to reiterate to folks tuning in here on Desert Islands. This is the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests, 10 records they would bring to a desert island. Today, I'm making one for PaviElle. And PaviElle has a performance in partnership with the Schubert Club at the Fitzgerald Theater, May 22nd. We also were talking about a lot of other performances, and we're going to circle back on that and make sure you get those dates as well. But let's get back to the mixtape here. And if you are extra curious and you are not driving, follow us on social media and you can hang out off mic and we'll be talking about the details of a lot of these performances coming up. So you can hang out with us there. But here is a new record from the Cactus Blossoms. Their release show is this weekend, and this is a track they did with Jenny Lewis here on KFAI. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Every time the reason I ask is like every time I feel like I press a button, we are changing so much in the studio that every time it's like, wait, that worked last week. It's not working this week. What did I do? So I might ask you a few different times if that is.
Oh, that's
okay.
fine. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad I asked about Sovereign just because, like, one, it is on the playlist, but two, it's just not often I get to pick someone's brain about like writing a symphony because like I can understand the album front, and I've listened to symphonies, but I could never imagine taking a stab at one. And so like, how do you like? This isn't your first one. Is it different every time, or does like the inspiration, like, do you set out like it's a mountain, and it's just like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna climb that mountain. It's just like I'm gonna write a symphony, or do you start off thinking like, okay, I have this, like this is, and then it just kind of leads into a place where it's just like, oh, the only way I can give these ideas like space to live and breathe is if this is a symphony, you know? Like how did you start?
It's kind of like the latter,
Mm-hmm.
because it's completely blank canvas. It's
Yeah,
unknown. You know what I mean? Like it's unknown unless I start, like, for instance, it depends, because what I will say is when it came to a Requiem for Zula
yeah,
or Sands of Time,
yeah,
those were things that I was like, challenged to do. We want you
right.
to write a piece for our 50th anniversary.
Yes, yeah,
We want you to, write a piece about your mother and your
yeah,
ideas of home. And, like, so I had something to start on,
yes,
and it was,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean? It was like an immediate idea, because like with a Requiem for Zula, that being my first one, even though it was my first one, I was like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. They were like, think of home. And I was like, my mom.
yeah,
We're gonna write a whole
yeah,
piece about her death and my father, and
yeah,
their passing, and how I went to Hawaii and how I came back here. And
yeah.
I just immediately knew that I was gonna do this as a journey. Didn't know what it was gonna sound like, didn't know how I was gonna write it. But
But
in my
that's,
mind, yeah, it was plotted. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like I had a arc. I knew the arc was, when she passed, I knew that it was going to culminate here. And then I was going to be alone. Like I could see certain scenes in my head
yeah,
theatrically,
yeah,
because I come from theater background. I come from
yes,
Stepping Stone and Penumbra Theater and
yeah, yeah,
all these
yeah,
things. So if I see music in that way, I see these oratorios or like these operas or librettos, or they're like this, where I'm telling these stories, or they always have these conscious elements to them and stuff like that. So it's in that thinking, and in the way that I'm thinking, like on a musical scale or a grand ensemble scale,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking at all these parts, and my mind automatically goes there, because I have these big
yeah,
ensembles to work with. So
yeah,
it's like it's the world is my oyster,
right,
because I'm
right.
like, oh my God, I got like, 60, 70 people, 100 people to work with. And I can do all kinds of stuff. It's not limited.
It's
I know. Yeah. Oh, so
it's like, it sounds like so liberating, but also like my ADHD would also find it terrifying, where it's just like, oh, there's so many options.
yeah, I can see
Like,
that. Yeah.
what are you even like? What even gets this voicing? Especially if you had like, you know how you're working on something and something will just come out and it's just this fully fleshed composition in like 5 minutes, or sometimes you have this like pet melody that you've been just like working on for years, and you want to put it in something, but you don't know where it's gonna go. And I almost get like, so now I'm just this is my soliloquy, just like me, just talk, I almost get so precious with this thing because I just want it to be in something cool. And then
Yeah.
it's like, what voice is like, do I want it, is it a piano, or does it like, is this more of an oboe type thing, or like should this be a guitar solo, or should someone sing it? You know, like
Yeah.
I would almost be like, how do you not get paralyzed by the
Uh,
sheer magnitude of options?
well, it's like it's almost like it tells me. So it's like,
Sure.
yeah, like I have, I don't know, maybe it's my subconscious that is
Yeah.
my helper. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, yeah, this little line goes on this oboe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and
Yeah.
it's based on what the um bassoon is doing,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
it's based on, you know what the clarinets are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about what fits inside of what I already got going on, and you know what I mean, and I just kind of lay it like that, and I've been
Yeah. Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
like these, and I've started to build like this whole system where it's like I line up all the instruments. So the keys, all the keys, the organs, all that stuff, piano, all that stuff's together, all the drums, percussion are together, all the
Right.
woodwinds are together. So now I'm starting, because this is three, this is
Right.
the third one, and so now I've developed my style, I guess,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
what it takes, that you have to create that, because it's a whole different situation than writing music for the band.
It is, but like in a weird way, it because I've actually talked about this with my students, because like inevitably I always want to try to like fixate where it's just like, all right, well, what is something you do like, because eventually you're going to have to learn fundamentals, and it's always good to have something you do like to like kind of work and play that Simon Says of just like mimic the sound coming out of the speaker and work on the fundamentals to get there. But eventually there are just going to be some pieces of repertoire that like you might not be exposed to, or you might not, think of, like classical music. And like when it comes down to like symphonic pieces where it's just like, it like, this is kind of a weird analogy, but the analogy I've used with them is just like, all right, in a weird way, the way an orchestra is set up is a bit like an Ableton session. Like the composer just kind of lines up the things in groups and wants, certain things where it's just like, okay, I want this melody here, and like they're kind of mixing it in
Hmm.
a way where it's just like, I need more vibrato from this, because like this section needs the soar over everything that's going over here.
Hmm.
And like we didn't have the cool video screens. I mean, like, heck, you could do that on your phone these days. Like, you can have a whole recording, like, digital audio workstation right there. But in a weird way, that's what we were working with. Those were our tools. And it's just like, yeah, you have all that at your fingertips. It's just, it's I don't know, like how many human beings are involved? Like how many players are with you when you're when you're doing this? Like at least 20 people are on stage, right? Like when you're doing a symphonic work, or
Oh, it's probably more than that. It's like at least 50, 60, 70, something like
wow,
that. And then like, Minnesota Orchestra, I think that was probably 100 plus, something like that. There's a lot of
of
people up there.
course, yeah,
There's a lot of folks there. That was a big orchestra. I remember looking around and going, they have every instrument.
yeah,
They had
that's incredible.
glockenspiels and
Yes,
all kinds of
oh,
stuff that I was just like, whoa, they got the bells and like two different percussionists, timpanis. I mean, like it was the full gambit. And so like you're up there playing with
yeah,
quite a few people. And that's why I say it's different, for the band, because, it's different for a couple of reasons. The band is smaller, but the instruments are louder. And the instruments are dynamically different. What I
yes,
have going on, as opposed to like when you do symphonies on MIDI and you create them on MIDI, they don't
right,
sound
right, right,
like what they sound like when you play them. When you go in, it
yeah,
sounds completely different. And that was the thing that shocked me, doing a Requiem for Zula, because it was my first time, of course. But
yeah,
that's the thing that I really remember from that first rehearsal, was just to understand how delicate the sounds are and how the hall works with this, because I work in
Oh, right.
architecture, and
That's an
so it's a different kind of situation. Yeah. And you have to think about that while you're
oh yeah.
writing these things, because like I knew I was playing this at Fitzgerald. I picked the Fitzgerald to play at, because that's one of my favorite places. And I have a lot of successful shows that have happened
Yeah.
at the Fitzgerald. Like my first ever solo show on my own, was there, and it just so many different things.
Speaking of shows, I have to read a calendar real quick.
Sure.
Okay, so we heard brand new music from Sleeping Jesus, Purple Funk Metropolis, and the Cactus Blossoms. We were talking about the Fitzgerald show on the chat, and we're going to circle back to that. Let's talk about some shows this weekend and beyond. Tomorrow night, Sleeping Jesus, who you just heard, is going to be playing at Ice House with Brunette. And the controversy, this is a different show. Controversial News, Skinny Pill, Lazy Scorsese, and Susie at Mortimer's. Also tomorrow, Eleganza on Main Street. They're going to be doing Exile on Main Street, Eleganza at the Turf Club, Loser Magnet, Bird Hole, Ghost Kitchen, and Amsterdam Bar and Hall. That is all tomorrow. Friday, High 48's Brotherhood of Birds at the Granada Theater, Sig Cell, Curb Appeal, Wish Wash at Terminal Bar, and then Emil and the Sniffers at the Fine Line. Saturday, Natalie Fiddler, Zach Baker, and Gowns, Natalie Fiddler's release show. We talked to her last week. That is this Saturday. The Cactus Blossoms, who we heard at the top of that set, they also have a release show at First Avenue. NATO Cole's birthday show featuring NATO Coles in the Blue Diamond Band, as well as Pleasure Horse, Pleasure Cube, and Lutheran Heat. That's all at Mortimer's. Also, the String Dingers release show at Day Block Brewing Company, the Belfast Cowboys 20th anniversary show at the Hook and Ladder. That's a big Saturday. Mother Banjo on Sunday is going to do a brunch show at Ice House. Butterboy's residency at Mortimer's every Sunday this month. Corey Medina and Courtney Yasmine and Laura Hugo at 7th Street Entry. That is on Sunday. Looking ahead, Dua Soleil, who is going to be in this next set of music, May 20th at the Fine Line. And Ben Cook Phelps, Tuesdays at the 331. Looking ahead, now that shows are back again. If you want to know what my next show is, I'm actually opening for Bob Log at the Turf Club, June 12th. If you want something more sooner, this show is going to hit 200 episodes. So every Wednesday in Palmer's, after this show, go to Palmer's, and I have a lineup booked every Wednesday. I curated it. So come hang out with me and celebrate 200 episodes of I'm surprised I'm still here as well. The first one is on June 1st with Freak and the Nunnery, and I'm going to be hosting that as well. The full lineup is going to be on Palmer's website. You can follow it on social media and all that. And speaking of social media, I am a talker, so I'm probably not going to be able to get through the entire mixtape I made for PaviElle today, but I will post it a Spotify playlist so you can hear all the tracks that I will probably end up missing. Let's see, how many tracks do I have? Oh yeah, 9. And you have a cutoff at noon. So okay, let's talk about Sovereign. So this is a record you put, okay, I want to say last year, but because of the pandemic, everything that was like 2 years and beyond just feels like last year. So was it actually 2021, or did this come out in 2020? Did Sovereign come out in 2020?
2021, September 17, 2021.
Okay. So I'm not going crazy. It's weird sometimes. It's like there was The Boat. I remember that was last year, and then just a lot of things. Okay. So 2021. Let's talk about. Well, you know what? Let's talk about this in the chat. Let's listen to this because I know you got to get going. So here is a cut off of Sovereign. This is Hard Truths here on KFAI. Okay, so let's talk about this record. So this came out last year, and is this part of the commission, or was just like, this is just a record you wanted to release, and then the commission happened, and then life just kind of went in that direction?
Yeah, the album was just my own fruition.
Sure.
I felt like, and I used the Jerome funds to be able to complete it.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but it was my own fruition. I had already been kind of sketching out a couple of things after the murder of George Floyd,
Yeah.
and Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple of pieces, and I had wrote Garveyite and I think rights, one of those. So after I did that, I wasn't gonna put it out because I just, I sometimes as artists you need to take the time that you need to take
Yeah.
in order to process everything in real time because
Yeah.
people forget that. It's like, yes, you need your artist in the time of
Yeah.
chaos, but also they're human and they got to process too. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
this was new. This
Yeah.
and not what's I'm not saying what happened with George Floyd was new.
Is
Like this is
yes.
a
Yeah.
thing, but I'm saying like the pandemic and
Yeah.
all of these things happening at the same time
And it
and
added
staying at
layers to
home,
the trauma.
and being at home, and I just kind of took advantage of working from home in that sense where I was like, I had a lot of things in my life that I felt like I needed to change, and a lot of changes were happening. And I decided to embark on a healing journey and, start therapy, start, talking about things and being upfront and facing the things that I was running from for so long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so from that came Sovereign, because those were my hard truths. And that's what that really was. Those were the things that I was feeling politically, regarding my love life, regarding my artist life, regarding my life as a person that's in the workforce and having to
Yeah.
code switch and all these things that it
Yeah.
was like an upheaval of the things
Yeah.
that I and my assertion and proclamation to decolonize myself
Yes.
as a Black woman in this country. And so it's just kind of followed suit. Like that is where my heart and my mind and my spirit are aligned, and
Yeah.
all of the things in my life are aligning
Yeah.
around the truth that I've come through from the introspection. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
It,
And yeah, that's Sovereign, and
well,
so
in,
and that's
in a weird way, like the pandemic kind of gave everyone time to align and be like, all right, well, if all this is being shaken to the core, this is what I need to do.
yeah, hopefully. I'm a realist.
Yep, yeah, yeah, no, well, it's what it makes me happy that you are. So I definitely want to, like mention, when we come back on the air, the shows with SPCO in June. But I love what you're doing, like giving kids the platform to express all this, because like I feel like a lot, I don't know, it's been especially frustrating in this community just watching everything happen, and just like the political power structures seem to just kind of be like, we're cool, right? It's just like, you haven't done anything.
Right.
Right, we're cool, right? It's just like,
It's like, no.
You haven't, and it's just like, it's like there's just like this weird tension, and especially with like a state, uh that prides itself on education, like its two biggest school districts decided to strike, like, or almost strike in the same year. And I'm just the guitar teacher with St. Paul Public Schools, like low on the totem pole as far as that, but like just being in that atmosphere of just saying you work in the public school system is like now a hot button issue. And now like everyone is talking over the kids, and anytime the kids try to like actually do something and like use their voice, it's like immediately media gets their hands
Dismissal,
on it. Yeah,
suspension, all of
yeah,
that. That's why I came
yeah,
up out of the school district.
yes,
My mom was a teacher. I was born to a
yeah,
teacher.
Yeah.
So and her mom was a teacher too. And both of them interestingly have went through the same types of politics,
Yes.
working
Yeah.
in inner city schools and the same thing. And I went through that same thing. And my brother is also a teacher and he understands that too. It's very hard. I came out of working in the public school system and the charter school system,
Yeah.
for that matter, because I want to be able to speak freely, and the youth be able to speak freely, and
Yeah.
we be able to discuss things because this is the most pivotal time in their lives
Yep.
where we need to be talking to them,
Yeah.
and talking with them and listening to them.
Especially
Yeah.
talking and listening, because like, don't think they don't know what's going on.
Well, of course they do, because when we were young, we knew what was
But
going on.
yeah.
And I think people forget that. People grow up and they forget that and they don't also even notice that their inner child is what's leading them. Like my healing and all of that, I had to
Yeah.
heal my inner child. These
Yeah.
are like my same wounds and trauma and things that were happening, and the repeated things happening to me in my life
Yeah.
were all from situations 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And so
Yeah.
and I had a really blessed childhood, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand that I wasn't privileged, with wealth or anything in that sense, but I was privileged with having the ability to talk really frank with adults because I was working with
Right.
adults. I
Right.
was a performer. So, my life is a little more unique. So I was able to sit with actors and
Yeah.
singers and all these people and just learn some stuff good, some stuff bad, but it was life, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it made me who I am. And so my mom was like that with me. She talked to me about everything. I was unafraid to bring
Yeah.
anything to my mom, even though I had a healthy fear of her, like, you know what I mean? I was still unafraid, still, because I knew that um, I had somebody that I could really express to and could
Yeah.
help me cope with the things that were happening or teach me how to self cope with the things happening. And I want to be able to be that, in
Yeah.
many ways, or just be an example of that,
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
for the youth to see that, and also, just to pass that on, because my mom was doing it for many reasons, and I could see now why she was doing it, because it's like, nobody is really seeing to the mental health and the physical health
Oh
and the
yeah.
emotional well-being of our young people growing up to be adults in this life,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
run the next iterations of the world.
And at least be an adult in their life that like takes those things seriously.
Yes,
You know,
yes, and yeah.
because sometimes like I don't know is an appropriate answer to that
Mhm.
question. And then sometimes just like being an adult of just like you know, I respect that that's what you're going through, but I don't know what like and just giving them an outlet to actually express themselves and like actually feel those feelings, because like I don't know, sometimes sometimes having an adult just like pretending to know what they're talking about and telling them what they do is like pretty much the problem, you
Yeah,
know.
it is. Yes, absolutely a problem. And like, people aren't thinking like that. Where my mom was like a kind of person where what she didn't know, she had other people pour into me, and
Yeah.
and my brother as well.
Yeah.
She was very, very
Yeah.
adamant about that, and she had a like she it's almost like recruited her friends and connections in the community to have an investment in our lives. You know what I mean? Because we were up against a lot. I mean, especially in my teenage years, I had a fork in the road.
Yeah.
Like a lot of young kids in the inner city, I had a fork in the road, and I could have either went this way or this
Yeah.
way. And I went this way, right? But not, but if I didn't have those people there saying, hey, you
Right.
need to go this way because we see more in you than you see in
Yeah.
yourself at this moment. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're young, that frontal cortex ain't sealed over yet.
Yeah. And it can be
Come over here.
it can be hard to see that in yourself in general, let alone when you're when you're
Exactly.
at that age and at that developmental
Yeah.
stage, like it's so sometimes it just takes someone to I don't know, just like it's
It's
I don't
that
know.
catalyst. It's that catalyst. It's that one
Yeah,
person.
just
Yeah,
giving
for
someone
me,
a chance,
yeah,
you have no idea where it'll lead.
yeah. Like
Um,
for me, it was Lori Carlos. I was 13
yeah,
years old, and it was at that moment that I understood that you know life was more.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Than
Uh,
what my situation was at that time. It's like yeah, people can help you see over stuff sometimes and see the
oh yeah,
bigger picture. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
that's instrumental. We need that. Our
oh
babies
yeah,
need that.
yes, yeah. And it's well, it's actually funny. It's just like, oh, you already answered. When I try to come in with like 5 questions, and sometimes they just end up getting answered anyway. And that was definitely one of them. But I want to mention there's like 30 seconds left in this track, and then we're going to go back into an on-air break. So do you mind if we just re-plug the June shows and like start talking about the timeline for this program, and also well, this might be our last talk break. So let's see how much we can plug at once.
Okay.
Ooh, Papa Mbai. Only Right. We also had Dua Soleil, and we had PaviElle. Hard Truths off of Southern at the top of that set. So some local music there. And made a mixtape for PaviElle today here on Desert Islands based on the 10 records she would bring to a desert island. We're not going to have time for all of it today, but you get to see what tracks I had in mind. And then up next, we have some D'Angelo, some Nas, the new Bad Bunny with Booska Booyah. Hopefully, Mary J. Blige, some Sly and the Family Stone, Brittany Howard. We'll see how much we have time for. So, speaking of what we have time for, I wanted to make sure we got to talk about the show on May 22nd at the Fitzgerald Theater. That is coming up very soon in about 11 days. You also have a few collaborations in June with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. So can we talk about these performances and their dates real quick?
Yeah, no problem. So it's all through my ACF residency, Liberate Uplifting Our Youth. The first show is alongside the Walker West Music Academy String Ensemble, the Comoinge Ensemble, and a bunch of my friends and family who are the ensemble who will be playing with me. It's the Sovereign Suite. It is at 7:30, doors at 6:30, May 22nd. At the Fitzgerald Theater, and you can get tickets through First Ave. Or not Sovereign Suite, Sands of Time. It's always Sands of Time is the commission that I am doing in honor of the Sands family. They commissioned me to do it, and I wrote a piece all about love. So that will be the season finale at the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, June 9th through the 12th. And it's quite a bit sold out already. I think that they might have some tickets, and I know that they have a waiting list, but that thing is sold out, and that's amazing.
Good to hear. That's amazing.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
All 4 nights, like, So yes, that will be June 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then I will be doing a Sovereign documentary in early August. So keep your eyes out for that. I'll be releasing the times and the dates very, very soon. And we'll be getting together and doing a show and a screening. So it'll be awesome. And then the ACF Summit will also be in September, and they will release dates soon. And that's like the culmination of what I do with True Art Speaks and with Purple Playground at their summit, their music summit. So more stuff will be coming out through this, and I will be doing stuff all year long, and music all year long. And then the third commission will probably be in 23, and I'm hoping for that to be a recording to go along with. I'm taking my own footage for this entire time as well, so we'll put all that together and make a thing.
Normally at this stage in the game, because I know you have. You got to get going here, and also we have Democracy Now! in less than 15 minutes. So I also have to do my due diligence and make sure that show starts on time. But normally I would be like, well, that sounds great. What do you have more coming up? But you're already into 2023. So dare I ask, is there anything in 2023 we have to, to look forward to? So that's part of the commission, but like, do you have your sights set on anything after that, or is there going to be rest time to lay fallow and regroup before, or are you already
I'm
thinking
doing that. I'm doing
that
that
far ahead?
within all of this. Like that's a part of this whole thing. Thank goodness that,
Yeah,
I have the Jerome going on, and this is my second
yeah,
year of it. So I am, plotting and planning some rest time, and I'm very happy to say that I get to go to activation residency this year up in New York, after I'm done
nice.
with the ACF summit. So I can
Wow.
go up there, and they have put together a residency for me for rest and healing, and to honor the work that I do with my people and myself and all that. So they're gonna like love on me. So I'm looking forward
Good.
to that. And I make sure I rest as hard as I work. Even
Good.
I work a day job, so like I'm doing a lot, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's a certain balance that I have learned how to maintain. And I also am in great spirits about everything because I asked for this, I prayed for this,
Yeah.
I worked for this, I
Yeah.
sacrificed for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be 38 years old this year. I'm young. I am
Yeah.
out here in the world, and
Yeah.
I am going to continue to like forge forward because of everything that's happening. It took this long, and now it's like, yeah, it means everything. And why would I stop now? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely wanting to introduce myself to the world a little bit more because last year I was able to get out of here and go
Yeah.
to New World Symphony in Miami and
Yeah.
San Francisco Conservatory of Music this last September, right after I released the album. And so, doing these residencies with my collaborator, Michi Bianco, the person who transcribes um, my symphonies to sheet music so it's accessible. Her and
Yes.
I,
Yeah.
we do residencies together, and we're thinking about, ways that we can be catalysts for change through the work and the art and the love that we share with people and each other. So, like, the world is very big, and I'm trying to get all out in it.
Yeah. I hope you do. Because
Mhm.
I feel like more people need to know about the work you're doing. It is inspiring. I am inspired by it. Seriously.
Thank you
And
so
I'm
much.
so grateful that you could come on this show because I'm legitimately a fan of what you're doing, and I am in awe of what you've been able to accomplish. And so it is good to hear that you definitely work on the work-life balance because I feel like
Yes.
it's something I definitely struggle with as an artist, but I feel like we all struggle with it. But like the fact that you do these monumental things and still, spin all these plates, it's amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to actually come here and hang out and
Of course.
and talk about music and talk about what you're working with. If you're just tuning in, I know it is 10 to the hour. It is still Desert Islands. I'm your host. You can call me Doc. And today I made a mixtape for PaviElle. So if you're just tuning in, PaviElle has a performance May 22nd at the Fitzgerald Theater. That is coming up May 22nd at the Fitzgerald Theater. Also, if you were tuned in earlier, she has more in store. So, if folks like what they hear, where can they hear it again? Where can they keep up with you and follow you on your journey? Especially when they, like, oh, I want to check out that thing in September. Wait, when was
Mhm.
that again? So where can they follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's PaviElle_music. Facebook, it's PaviElle. It's just a page, and then PaviElle French also. I am Miss French on Bandcamp, MSFRENCH Bandcamp. So Miss French, and that's where Sovereign is, and I think Maybe and Me is on there too. My first album, Fear Not, is also on Bandcamp. And you can just follow me mostly on Instagram. I'm on Twitter too at Revolt in Uprise, but mainly I'm on IG just because I like it. I can post pictures of the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Instagram is the one that it drives me least insane.
Yeah, it really
I like
does.
that
Yeah.
one for it.
Yeah, me too. And it's simple. And whatever I post there, it'll post on others, and it's one stop shop. I don't even have to go on the app. So I do like that.
Well, I love that we got some time to hang out today. Thank you so much for hanging out on Desert Islands. Next week, I'm going to be speaking with Cindy Lawson. Check out PaviElle at the Fitzgerald Theater, May 22nd.
Yes.
And today, I made a mixtape based on the 10 records PaviElle would bring to a desert island. So up next, we have some D'Angelo and some Nas. But first, here is some Bad Bunny here on KFAI. I totally did it again. Okay. Okay. After this song, I need to play an underwriting card. I do that thing once the conversation gets ahead of me. I have these underwriting cards that I have to play within the hour, and sometimes it's like, oh wait, I'll just wait to the next break, and sometimes they just stack up.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you gotta do your is it the sponsor?
Yeah.
The sponsor things? Yeah.
After this song, I'm pretty much just gonna have to play all those to get them in, and then do another transition. But thank you so much for doing this. I don't know how much time you have left, because I know you got to run.
Yeah, I got about 8 minutes or 7 minutes. I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna go work over my lunch. I got a big work meeting today, so yeah, I'm gonna go prep for that over my lunch break because I'm taking my lunch now.
Yeah, well, I appreciate.
That's how that works. If you can find things to work, I'm encouraging musicians to do that. I'm like, get you a little side something, and work stuff out with people, and figure it out, because you can do this. I always just try to encourage people, do not give up on your dreams. You know what I mean? Stuff is happening for me now, and I am getting to be in the middle age years of my life. And I told my brother the other day, this is the best time, because handling this in my 20s would not have happened. I would have been scared. I'd have been afraid in my 20s of this type of power and this type of leverage, being able to leverage and make moves on behalf of the things that my ancestors are telling me to do, the good stuff, but it's perfect timing now, you're old enough to know better and young enough to still be out here,
It's like the important time. It's like that. This is when you figured out I can still say and do these things. So that now's the time to, not that you won't be able in the future. It's just there's a
different
time and place. Yes.
Yeah. And it's fertile. It's a fertile time. I think, I told my brother yesterday, we were talking about Kendrick Lamar's new video, because I seen it the day it came out, and I had my brother sit down and watch it yesterday.
Yeah.
And I said, we got to talk about this, and we'll come back and talk about it. We'll let it sit and come back and talk about it later, because I do this. I have intellectual partners in my life that keep me thinking, and I love that. And so I told him, I said, I am so inspired by that piece of art right there, and just the intention and the level and the direction, and that feels so good, because I feel like that's what's happening with a lot of artists right now, because we've had this introspective time. Some of us are really coming out and really pushing the boundaries right now, and I love to see it. It inspired me so much. This is the work I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna catch this wave. I'm gonna catch this wave.
You should. You should.
Yeah, because I wanna say some things to the world.
Yeah.
Specifically for them to look at themselves. I'm not even trying to tell you what to do. I just want you to look at your life.
Yeah.
Look at your part in it.
Yeah.
Because this is all of us, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to hang out with me, and enjoy the rest of your day. Seriously, like,
You too.
yeah. So I am hoping to be there on May 22nd. I might end up working it because I do work with First Ave. So I hope to see you there one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm like, that'd be great. Yeah, if you do, come say hi.
Yeah, I love that. I love to see you in
Yeah,
person.
please.
But
Please.
if not, I know you're extremely busy, so like I will at least be cheering for you on the sidelines and watching you take off and do all these amazing things.
Thank
So I
you.
appreciate taking the time to have this moment at least. So it was great to see you, and
Great to
have
see
fun.
you.
See you.
Thank
Have
you so much. Bye.
a good one.
You too.